Hi, my name is Michele and I'm with Creative for Kids. And in today's video, I want to go over some key important points as well as some great information that might help you learn how to be more comfortable around kids who are crying and how to minister to them effectively. I think it's important for us to understand the reasons behind why kids cry so we can better and more effectively minister to them and help them to stop crying so that we can actually continue with our lesson effectively. So we're going to go through 4 different reasons why kids might be crying within your classroom. Most of these are going to happen in that first 15-20 minutes when kids are being dropped off. Point number 1 would be sometimes kids cry because they're first-time visitors. They're in a brand new situation, new people, new environment, and it overwhelms them, and so they just let you know, I'm not happy, I'm going to cry right now. And there are different ways to minister to those kids. The second reason kids might cry is because they're introverts. We all know an introvert, somebody who likes to be by themselves, doesn't like a lot of chaos and noise, isn't good with big crowds. Well, guess what? Babies and toddlers are the same. If you're an introvert as an adult, you probably were an introvert as a baby or a toddler, which means that when you're put in an environment with other kids, with lots of noise and interaction and movement and people, you're not going to be happy. So you're going to let me know. And the only way babies and toddlers can let you know is by crying. The third reason kids might cry is because they're very limited in their social interaction during the week. Maybe they spend most of their time with mom or grandma and they don't really get a lot of interaction with kids or other adults. And so when they're put in an environment where it's change, it's not their normal structure, it's different people with different kids and different toys, it overwhelms them. And so they cry. And then the fourth reason kids might cry is because they're dealing with stress or major change or some kind of crisis in their lives. This may sound weird, but as a baby and a toddler, they do pick up on that when it's happening within their home. So you may want to know what the personal environments are of your babies and toddlers and kids if your parents will allow that. They might be going through a major change. They just found out they're pregnant, or there's been a death in the family. They've just relocated or moved, or had to move out of their house, or move in with grandma, or grandma moved in. Or maybe mom and dad are just having a stressful time financially, and so there might be some fighting or some screaming or some yelling, or maybe just silence. Either way, that baby, that toddler, that preschool is going to pick up on that, and it stresses them out too. They don't like that environment. They don't like the conflict. And so when they're put in a different environment or the change comes that they don't like, they're going to cry. So there's a few ways for you to understand the reasons behind kids crying. And now we can look into how we can deal with that or minister to kids that are crying as effectively as possible. Okay, so let's look at some ways that we can help these kids and try to calm them to a place of peace where they can hear the truth of God's Word in the lesson. The first way that we try to work with kids is to connect them with a trained volunteer. Try to have 1 or 2 volunteers in your classroom or in your children's ministry that are trained to work with kids that cry, that maybe have watched this video, done some reading online, or even maybe gone to a seminar on how to do this, and help them to know that they need to stay calm, they need to stay peaceful, and they need to talk in a gentle voice. They can't get frustrated and upset. The kid will pick up on that. So connect them with a trained one-on-one volunteer that will stay with them until they stop crying and help introduce them into the classroom in a normal way. The second way that you can help these kids is to try to distract them from the thoughts of, Mom just dropped me off, I don't know where she is, I'm freaked out, I just want my mom or my dad. You're trying to get them to think of something else and get their mind focused on something else or someone else in the classroom. So what you want to do is immediately turn their visual away from the door. So you could take them over to the book area and maybe read them a book or play with a soft toy animal, or see if something in the room interests them, whether it's the blocks or the Legos or the bubbles. Bubbles are always great for babies and toddlers. They seem to work really well to distract them. Or maybe there's a visual on the wall you can talk about or point something out as you help them with being distracted from that door that reminds them of mom and dad and that they just got dropped off. There will be times where you deal with kids that are really upset and crying and challenged and they just don't want to stop, and you try to reach for them and comfort them and they scream even louder. Give these kids space. Do not try to pick them up and console them. They don't want that right now. Normally they're throwing a tantrum, and sometimes it's because they've done it before and they know if they scream loud enough or cry long enough, you will go get mom. If you're wanting to break this cycle, discuss with the mom or the dad that you'd really like to help them get comfortable with the classroom, and with their permission, mom and dad, you're going to work through that crying, which means that for a few weeks they might cry a little bit longer, but eventually they'll get comfortable with you in the class and you won't have to call mom and dad anymore. Once you've got the approval of parents to do this, then work one-on-one with that child. And when they're screaming and crying, just gently get down onto their level. Again, this is that trained volunteer that works one-on-one with them. Try to move them to an area of the room that's away from the drop-off point, that's more or less out of the sight of most of the parents and the kids, if possible, and work one-on-one with them. They're kind of in a corner and you're sitting there and you're saying, Johnny, I really need you to calm down and stop crying so I can help you. Key words, I want to help you, Johnny. I want to listen to you. I want to hear what you need, but I need you to stop crying so I can help you. You want mommy? Okay, we'll talk about that, but I need you to stop crying. I can't go get mommy or help you until you stop crying. You keep repeating that until Johnny stops crying. Once he stops, you say, okay, Johnny, let's go see if we want to play with blocks. Let's go. You're starting to focus them in another area. If that doesn't work and he starts crying again, you start from scratch. Johnny, can't help you unless you stop crying. You want mommy? I understand you want mommy. Stop crying. He stops crying and you say, mommy is in church. She's singing some songs. She's listening to a story just like us. She doesn't get snack. Do you like snack? I like snack. We'll have snack, and then after that, mom will come pick you up. So if you'll stop crying, maybe we can have some fun, and then mom will come pick you up. You just keep repeating this until the child calms down and stops crying and gets interested in something else in the room. If this doesn't happen, eventually you may have to call mom in. And again, this time don't let the kid go with mom. Ask mom or dad to stay. Ask them to sit through the service with you, sit through the lesson with you to get the child comfortable with what's going on in the classroom and connected with some of your volunteers and teachers. Because once they do that, and it might be a couple weeks that they do this, that child will 95% of the chance of the time will get comfortable in the classroom and eventually enjoy coming and learning about Jesus. So that's one other way that you can work with kids and families to help them stop crying so that you can minister to them effectively. Thanks for spending time with me today, and for all you do for kids, and for your heart to minister to kids even when they're crying so that you can help them hear the truth of God's Word. I know God appreciates it, and I do too.